The Atlanta City Council has been in session for 4 hours now and counting, discussing solutions to the soaring violent crime rate. Interim APD Chief Rodney Bryant just addressed the council with his plans. 11 Alive Savannah Levins was listening in. I should mention this is Savannah's first day on the air with us. Welcome, Savannah.
Oh, thank you so much. And what a first assignment it has been. Like you mentioned, several hours into this meeting at this point, Chief Bryant came to council with his plans, but he did get some pushback from council and the public for not having enough concrete solutions. Another week, another series of shootings, and a fed-up public and city council.
Everyone is very weary. The public is scared. They're in unease. People are feeling unsafe. People they can't jog, they can't shop, they can't get gas at the gas station.
APD Chief Rodney Bryant, who took over as interim when Erica Shields resigned last summer, given the floor to share his action plan. His solutions including restructuring APD's investigative unit by working more closely with federal, state, and other local agencies, expanding the gun assault team, which investigates non-fatal shootings, to focus on where these guns are coming from, and more heavily recruiting both in and out of state, since APD is currently down around 400 officers. Bryant saying they'll also be requiring administrative staff to do physical patrols to get more boots on the ground. And he says they're expanding the licensing unit to crack down on restaurants that are really operating as nightclubs.
I think that will significantly cut down on some of the things that we are seeing.
Bryant adding that they're strengthening partnerships with local nonprofits too, particularly those focused on young people. And after the council and chief wrapped their remarks, nearly 2 hours of public comments began, which just wrapped up about 2 minutes ago. A vast majority of those asking that the council not invest in the police department, but more in community programs rather than the PD itself. We'll keep you updated on that and whether the council adopts that budget as is. Again, right now as we speak, they're still debating it.
All right, in Savannah, we're also expecting the city council will officially confirm Bryant as APD's permanent chief today. Has that come up yet in the meeting?
It has not. We have been expecting that, but that has not yet come up. We are monitoring the meeting right now, and again, we'll keep you updated on air and online.
All right, Savannah Levins, again, welcome to the team.